Hi everyone. Okay, this is probably a video many of you have been waiting for. So we have been touting firmware updates for quite a while now, and we're just letting you guys know that basically for around Christmas this year, the update will be released, and depending on how quickly it is available on the App Store, you will be able to do these firmware updates. Okay, so to start off, we have a 300 HP battery, and as you can see, it has the original switch, means it does not have the Gen 2B, it has the Gen 2A switch. So what you're going to do is you have to use the SFK data cable. It will not work with anything, either the version 1 or the version 2 cable. Any other cable we do not support. If the firmware update fails, does not work, you'll have to send us your BMS to fix it. There would be a service fee. So this is only available for people that have the data port. You cannot update it through Bluetooth, and it currently is only available on Android. Will it be available on iOS? We don't know. Currently, it may or may not work with a hub. For best results, you'll want to get a USBC to USBA converter. That'll take the output of the USBA, cable and convert it into this. Now, this is an Android tablet. It should also work with most Android phones. So as long as you have that, you'll still be able to update. All right, so with it connected, let's go ahead and hit scan. And it will ask you for your permissions. You'll have to hit OK. And as it scans, you'll see that it will find it. And it may ask you, like, do you want to allow USB access? So you have to hit OK. So let's see what it does. And you see here. Okay, so it detected it. So we already had connected before, but you'll see it appears with the USB icon, not the typical Bluetooth icon. So you can only connect to one USB device at a time. So make sure it's direct connected. Go ahead, hit checkbox there and hit connect. And when you hit connect, you should see it appear in a second. Okay, so once it connects, it should appear. Also, you'll see that we have communication going on. So when you see the communication going on in the the SFK V2 data, or if you have the V1, you won't have lights, but in the V2 you'll see some communication going on, which is basically when it is talking with the device. So that makes sure that it is running correctly. So as you can see, we're connected, and this is the original firmware. As you can see, we don't have some of the heating options. The battery is low, but it should be enough for us to do the firmware update. Now, what you'll want to do is make sure it's connected, and as you can see, you'll still get sort of updates periodically from the device. It's once every 3 seconds, and that can also be changed. We'll go to this button, and you'll see sort of some information that we have, and what we're going to do is hit check for update. And it will basically connect to our website. And then it's going to say firmware update available. Click to proceed. Now at this point, you don't want to disconnect it. You want to keep everything running. Okay, so again, we got 300 HP. This is sort of the original shipping firmware. And now we're going to be updating it to newer firmware. Okay, and it's going to take 2 or 3 minutes to complete. So we're going to go ahead and hit proceed, and it will say updating firmware, currently at 0%, and you'll see it starts flickering pretty fast. So I'll kind of show it to you with them both on the screen. So it's going to be doing its sort of update, and once it's updated, we will sort of close the app and restart the app. And once we do the update, we'll see the new information. So we'll go ahead and hit OK, and then launch the app again. So here, close it. Let's open it up again, do the scan again. All right, and then we'll connect it, and we'll show you how it is when it's connected. All right, so we found that battery, so we'll go ahead and connect it also. All right, so now we're connecting. Now you'll see we'll get some new information. SoC has also been sort of reset, so it's been recalibrated a little bit to the new firmware settings. They're a little nicer, or a little more accurate. But now you can see we've got new options. We got a SoC minimum, SoC maximum, as well as sort of the temperature. Now, when you initially get it, you're going to have to adjust it. So don't leave it the way it is. You go to Tools, and once inside Tools, you're going to make some changes. So wait for that to load. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is I like to lower maximum operating temperature to around 122. I'm in Fahrenheit. You can change to Celsius if you like. So I like hitting update on that. And this is still while we're connected via USB. So just keep that sort of in mind. And okay, so we got setting updated. And next thing I like to do, by default, if you want to keep it the way that the battery is with the original firmware, you can set the low temperature charging. You can set it to 40 degrees. Hit update, and that's just going to set the mode to the same way it comes as if you didn't have this firmware update. Okay, so low temperature charging. If you want to set it to standby heating, you can set it to standby heating, and that's going to keep your battery warm even if you're not charging it. And so, or if you want to turn it off, you can turn it off. So that's some of the new settings that are available. Okay, some of the other settings we now have the ability to set up, low voltage cutoff. Well, actually, we had it previously. I like to set mine at 11.6 and hit update. That way, if the battery drops down, even if there's an SoC miscalibration at 11.6, it's going to stop updating. For maximum SoC, I like keeping it at 100, and I like setting the minimum at 10. That means if you discharge your battery, even if you have standby heating running and the battery goes down to 10%, it's going to shut off, or it's going to disable discharging. So I like to hit update on that too. So setting update. Okay, now when we're done, if we go back to home, we'll see we've set our minimum to 10%, our maximum to 100%, and we have our heating mode set to 40. So it's still in low charging mode, which means it's only going to turn the heater on if we try to charge the battery in cold. But just to show you, if you wanted to set it to the other mode, like you want to say, hey, I want to keep my batteries warm, and I don't want to necessarily mess with this switch. By the way, this switch kind of is redundant now. It doesn't really do anything. You can still run it, and it will still function. But once you have this, it's probably something you want to just set the setting sort of in here. So let's say I want to set standby heating, where I just want to say, hey, you know what? Keep my battery warm and try to keep it maintained around 40 degrees. Okay, and I set standby heating, and I hit update on that. What that's going to do, basically, if I go to home now, you'll see the icons change. It's 40 degrees, which means if the temperature falls down below like 40 degrees or so, it's going to turn the internal heating pads on, even if the battery is not being charged. So it'll keep the battery, sort of between 40 to 45 degrees and turn the heating pads on and off as needed. Now, a lot of people are concerned, hey, I don't like this idea. What if it drains my battery down too low? Well, you can always set the minimum SoC. So if you want to say, hey, keep 20% in reserve, just go to Tools, set the minimum to 20%. Even if you have standby heating enabled, if the battery falls down to 20%, it's essentially going to shut off and not let you run the heaters anymore. So you've got just more options in this firmware, and since you already have the battery, and as long as you have a data port, you can upgrade it. Like I said, the only thing you have to buy is get one of these USBA to USBC converters. You can get them pretty much anywhere, Best Buy or wherever. But yeah, with that done, yeah, you should be able to connect and get information. And like I said, currently only the USB cable that we sell is supported. If you use some other thing, it may or may not work. If it does not work, you have to send your BMS in for us to restore it, and it can't be restored via USB. We have to go to the JTAG serial port and reinstall the firmware. This firmware does not work with other BMSs, so if you try to do it with the JBD, it's not going to work, and we're not going to be responsible if you brick your JBD, and we can't help you either. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I know it's been a long time coming, and we haven't updated you guys in a while. So here's that video. Promised, it is coming. I would say just check back with us in a day or two, and it is only available on Android. So unfortunately, it's not available in iOS yet. Maybe it'll be available, but getting USB support added to an iOS app is turning out to be quite challenging. It was pretty challenging with Android, but we were able to get it for Android, so we're just waiting for it to be approved on the Google Play Store. Okay, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us, send us an email. More than happy to help. Thank you.